Alright, so welcome back everybody. I kind of realized that I've been I've been posting way too much. Let me adjust the audio here. Yeah, I kind of noticed I was posting way too much just Gmod, me fucking around on Gmod. I haven't really posted a game design thing recently, so I figured that I needed to make up for that. So let's just get into this because the thing is I've actually started a second project to follow another course, something called the Udemy course for creating a galaxy shooter. Admittedly, there is still quite a lot of progress that I didn't show on the last time I showed you this. So let's get started. So when it comes to camera control, I added this function. This is to link the scroll wheel with with the size of the camera. This would not only, well, the camera already hangs between your point to aim and your player character. This code will allow you to zoom in and out. The purpose for this is to, of course, give you better control over your range, as you can see here. Because the thing is, Parallel Cataclysm is a 2D side-scrolling shooter. Oh man, I actually completely underestimated how low the jump was in this that I set here. But the purpose for this is so that you can shoot shoot down longer sight lines, as I would say, while still being able to zoom in and do close range combat. You also probably notice that there's a considerable difference in how my character has jumped. One, it feels a lot heavier, which admittedly I am going to be tweaking, but there's a reason for this. You see, in a lot of side-scrolling platformers, you notice that you have considerably more control over your jump you than you would in your typical FPS. That is because your jump looks something like this. That's because in your FPS the basic jump input is that you press space and you will get a certain upward momentum. In a side-scrolling platformer, well, in any kind of platformer, it's a little bit different. They want you to have more control over your jump. So the idea is that the longer you hold down your space bar, the stronger your jump. This was achieved through here, Blackthorn Prod's Jump Higher tutorial. That being said, I was actually there were things about it that I just wasn't sure about, that I wanted to change for myself. So this was the main. So the basic script here is that you have a jump time counter and a jump time. I don't know why there's two of these. I wonder if I get rid of them, if that will cause any errors. You know what? I'm not going to be working with this in a long time. So it's probably best to just let this lie where it is. The basic premise here is that as you can tell, the jump time counter to as so the jump is actually constructed of two parts. One is the initial hop. This is a simple get key down upward momentum. Essentially, this code simply does this. This code does this, and that's all it does. This little hop is solely what this code does. But then you haven't. But then it will lead straight into the jump extension code. You can tell because there's a difference between one is get key get key down versus get key. Wait, where is it? Just a moment. I need to just double check. Yeah. There's a difference between just get key down and just get key. Okay, and there seems to be a bit of. Oh yeah. Sorry. Get key simply allows you to hold and get more effect, and essentially it allows you to hold down the button and for as long as you hold down the button, it will run whatever function is in here. So what this does is that if the jump is true, meaning that if you're jumping, then it will execute this. And what this means is that it will have a jump time counter. The jump time counter will reduce as long as it's higher than 0. The jump time, as long as it's higher than 0, and as long as the jump active is equal to true, and as long as you're holding down space, your jump time counter will then reduce based on time.delta time. Based on the jump force will then, but I then added. Now this was basically what the tutorial that I was given, the Blackthorn Prod tutorial ends, and this is where I add my own little function. Essentially, what I wanted to do was to decrease your jump force as well. So technically, the jump time counter is meaningless because once you run out of jump force, you will simply stop jump. You will simply not be able to go forward anyway. Simply because if there's no input to the upward velocity, then if there's no input to the upward velocity, then then you won't go get any upward velocity. Otherwise, jump active will be equal to false. That means this whole thing. So essentially, what that means is that once you let go of the spacebar, you can't just press it again and get more jump. Essentially, you have to commit to this would require you to essentially commit to a jump. You can't just let go of the jump, and if you think you just didn't get enough height, you press the spacebar again. And again, that's not how it would work in any kind of logical consistency. Not even a sense of real life, because the entire concept of holding down your jump to get a higher jump is completely ridiculous to begin with. Admittedly, there were ways that I wish I could have done this better, but that is neither here nor there. Now, getting to the Udemy space shooter, however, and this is actually what I'm truly proud of, because this was a script that I essentially did completely on my own, and it's actually based on the Blackthorn Prod script. So I'm gonna go grab the player proper here, and I'll show you what exactly I did. So this here will shoot your laser, and another thing that I wanted to add was laser current capacity is higher than 0. This was not in this part here is not in the Udemy course, simply because back in the Udemy course they didn't intend you to have a kind of magazine system. In fact, they wanted you to make essentially a pretty basic space galaxy shooter, something like Galaga, which of course didn't have a reload system. The basic concept here is that as long as the magazine for your laser isn't full, so as long as the laser current capacity is less than the laser's max capacity, you can press R and left arrow to engage a reload function. The reload function is down here. And another thing that I added was get key was simply a get key R. Essentially, this would allow you to hold down the R button and press left arrow. This is essentially for simple convenience. This here is an incomplete script that I will fill in later, because I actually intend for there to be multiple weapons on your base flyer, on your character. But this is what I took it from. If you remember what I said from my extended jump script, how it was essentially how if you held down the space button, it would count down a certain number of essentially jump points based on time.delta time. Let me show you. I'll quickly grab the jump script again, the base movement script for the platform practice. That's the wrong platform practice. I apologize. Platform practice 1, assets, scripts, base movement 2. Yes, so essentially, this whole thing is to ensure that you reduce by a certain amount. You reduce from a set maximum, which is set here. When you jump, your jump force is equal to max jump force, or your jump time counter is equal to jump time. So this acts as the maximum, and this acts as the actual thing by which the actual variable that is being called in your script. So this oh wait, no, this is a maximum and this is a variable. My bad. So essentially, this says that the variable will then equal to your will call upon the maximum jump time. Essentially, it'll be expending. It'll be expending based on time It'll be expending that counter based on the time that has passed. From there, what I did was that I essentially made it an automatic function rather than having to hold down the button. And it's as simple as just not including a get key input. Essentially, once reload equals true, this will count down from laser cooldown current minus equals laser charge rate so essentially it'll be reducing based on the laser's charge rate by over the time.delta time. If the laser cooldown becomes less than 0, then the laser current capacity will equal to max capacity. If the laser current capacity is equal to max capacity, then the laser cooldown current becomes laser cooldown. This means, again, it's doing the exact same thing as what that previous script did, as what the jump time versus jump time counter did. And the laser reload will then equal to false. This is essentially a closing statement. This is a closing statement, meaning that this function is no longer active. As you notice, I also added this one, laser reload equals false. The reason for this is that you can actually reload whilst you don't have... You can actually reload while you still have lasers in your magazine. I know, I'm saying a lot of things that would make gun aficionados kind of cringe, because, laser magazine. I suppose I should just call them bullets or ammunition. But the thing is, as long as you had bullets in your magazine, you would technically still be able to fire. This code means that if the laser reload is engaged, if it is equal to true, as in, no, that's actually not what it does. What this code does here is that you can only fire if the laser reload is equal to false, meaning that if the function of laser reload isn't running, well, this function here that engages this function, as long as this is false, then you can shoot. But if you engage this function, which will engage this function, then laser reload will no longer be false until the function concludes. That is So I'll simply show you what it does. You can tell by this, just keep an eye here. This is the max capacity, this is the current capacity. So as you can see, as I am shooting bullets, the capacity is reducing. When the current capacity is equal to 0, I cannot shoot no matter how much I press the fire button, which is right now coded to the right key. The reason for this is because I want to have multiple weapons. So the idea is that you control the shooter, the flyer, with your WASD, and then you fire different weapons with the directional buttons. The left directional key is your primary weapon because that is where your index finger naturally falls on. But simply put, once this happens, you can press R and then press the left button, well, the weapon button, and keep an eye on the laser cooldown current. As you can see, it counts down from 3 based on the laser charge rate, which is 2. And once that is concluded, it will fill up your current magazine. It will make current magazine equal your max magazine. That is basically all. This is basically what it does. Well, this is a basic progress report. I'm actually really proud of this script because previous times when I've tried to go off the beaten path, go outside the tutorial, I've often had to essentially ask for help because the code wouldn't work the first time and I would have literally no idea how to correct it. This was a case where I actually was able to do it I was able to troubleshoot the problem almost perfectly and get it to work exactly as I intended. Is this the optimal way to code a reload? Can't say. It probably isn't. For example, you probably want to be able to have a simpler system rather than this. Like, say, 5. It was like, say if I... Oh, no, not laser cooldown current. I have to change laser cooldown to 5, and so if I did... So I wonder what if I did... Yeah, so you'd essentially have to just like change 3 to 3. I'm going to change the laser cooldown back to 3, but it is essentially a self-correcting system, so that your next reload would essentially still be 3, would be whatever the laser cooldown is set to. So that is... I'm probably going to be taking a while, because I'm going to be going quite a bit beyond the beaten path of what the Udemy tutorial has given me. The Udemy tutorial has only given me 1 laser, and obviously I'm not satisfied with that. As you can see here, I've already prepared a script for the missile. I've got a prefab for the missile right here, which is this is for just in case, just for confirmation. These are all just placeholders. They will later be replaced with proper sprites. In fact, this entire thing will probably be copied over into a 2D game, so I can make the sprites for that. So what I'm probably going to do is that I'm pretty much going to copy what I did for my laser. Oh yeah, by the way, the laser... So the thing is, how the shooting script works is that it actually just instantiates the laser. But the thing is, there is also a laser script, so the laser will then do its own thing. So everything when it comes to the laser flying and the laser terminating at a certain range, that is in the laser script. But instantiating or generating the laser is actually from the player proper script. The reason why there's 2 player scripts is because this is an experimentation. I wanted to try something that, again, wasn't exactly as Udemy wanted. The thing is, if you're going to be following a tutorial, you have to follow it properly, and try not to go beyond beyond the scope of the lesson. You're probably wondering why I'm okay with adding extra weapons. It's because I pretty much can tell. Well, not. I'm pretty much assuming that the Udemy course is going to at least allow that level of flexibility that you can have alternate weapons. Again, it probably doesn't make sense when I say it like that, but it makes sense to me. Trust me there. Anyway, that's all for the progress report. Thanks for sitting through my rambling, and I'll see you later. I gotta get back to it. Peace.